Good afternoon, distinguished listeners and viewers, and welcome to another edition of The Professional Edge, Education Unlocked. We are reaching you from Oxygen FM 96.9 from the Knowledge Hub, Okeado, Ibadan. I'm your host, Akin Akinade, and this is how we do it every Friday, 3 to 4 p.m. They say success leaves clues. I even read somewhere that the secrets of the success of great men are in their stories. I've also discovered something even more interesting. Great institutions leave principles. At the professional level edge, we believe that while buildings may house schools, it is ideas, values, and courageous leadership that build institutions. And that is why this program is different. We are not here merely to celebrate successful schools. We are here to challenge assumptions, unlock ideas, and document the journey of the men and women who are quietly shaping the future of education in our country, Nigeria, and particularly in Oyo State. Today, our guest is one of those leaders. Imagine living a successful career in the oil and gas industry to pursue a dream in education. Imagine starting with just 5 students in the KG class, and for 4 to 5 months, just those 5 kids. Imagine choosing integrity in a system where compromise often seems easier than conviction. The journey is not just about building a school. It is about building character, credibility, and legacy. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome Engineer Dr. Idowu Jiboku, Director of Larkin International College, Ibadan. He's also Director of Tied Up College, Abeokuta, and Chairman of the Science Teachers Association of Nigeria, Oyo State Chapter. We'll be discussing his remarkable journey, his passion for education, and his vision for raising the standard of education in Nigeria. So wherever you are listening or watching from, stay with us, because for the next 1 hour, we are not just having a conversation, we are unlocking education. Welcome to the Professional Edge. Good afternoon, Dr. Jiboku.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to see you.
Same here.
I also want to thank you that in less than a week, you have made it to our studio, despite your tight schedule. And thank you for the hospitality when I came to see you in your school.
Well, that's what we know how to do best. Thank you very much for also making sure that you bring people like us to your station to share our little experience and to tell our little stories.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Let me start from the starting. As Kegas would say in the University of Ife those days. So who is Engineer Dr. Jiboku?
Okay, thank you very much. I hail from Abeokuta precisely. I started my secondary education in Tied Up College in Abeokuta. That's a school where that is owned by my parents, Professor and Mrs. Abayomi Jiboku. I was probably the first student in that school, and that's another story that you probably need to also tell. I was the first student in that school for about 3 months too. And,
Okay.
from there, I proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University.
Great Ife.
Great too. Where I studied chemical engineering and I graduated with a bachelor's in chemical engineering. From there, 2008, I moved to Hereford University in Scotland, where I had a master's in petroleum engineering. But between 2006 and 2008, I was always involved in the administration and the running of schools. Particularly Tide Up College and Yomfu National Primary School, which were my parents' schools in Abeokuta then. So from there, did a master's degree and worked briefly at Dubai Petroleum for a very short time, and from there came back to Nigeria. And after coming back to Nigeria, started a secondary school, having identified some gaps. Of course, with the support of my parents, we did that, and from there got a PhD, and we're trying to paddle the affairs of education in Oyo State to set the real standards that education needs in the state.
I can say it because I've been to your school. I walked around, and I must confess to you, I was really, really impressed by what I saw.
Thank you, sir.
So, let me congratulate you on what you have built at Larican. That's a massive investment in a sector people and government are not paying attention to. So, if I may ask you, what's the attraction to education?
Well, I started teaching when I was 17, and that was immediately after I left secondary school. But before then, like I told you, I'd been involved in school administration with my parents. So when you talk about schooling, then you're talking about, or when you talk about education, running school, then you're talking about something which was inherently taken from the family. And of course, you know that my own parents then gave you task that they wanted you to meet up with expectations. So then you see them handing over the school to, even at 17 and 18, we're doing a whole lot of things that people would think that, oh, is this person actually at this age handling these whole things, you know? So that's first stimulated my interest in education. And I can say that that was a starting point, you know, for passion for growing students, for passion for teaching, and for passion to ensure that you turn students' life around. And during that period, you know, I liked mathematics so much, I liked chemistry so much. So those were the subjects that I teach. So each time I saw students who are not doing well in mathematics, I just pack them together after school, put them in one class, just start teaching them. And I make sure I teach them until their story becomes different. Even in the primary section, when we saw some teachers then who were teaching in the nursery or the KG section and still have not made mathematics, I took it upon myself to gather them together and just make sure you teach them. And all of them, when they go and write their exams, they make it eventually. So that was the passion I had, and that was the point I knew that, yeah, I think I wanted to be in the line of education.
You know what amazes me about your story? People often leave education for the whole industry. You did the exact opposite. What exactly did you see that others did not see?
Well, when we do research, we'll say that when you're trying to do a research or when you're trying to pick a topic for research, you will say, look, spot the gap. Spot where the gap is so that you can solve a problem. The most important thing here, it was not as if there were no gaps or problems to solve in the whole industry. Of course, there are still many and there will be many, but I felt that there were so many more to solve in the education industry. There were schools within that we had as at then, or even now, who were giving not very much to children in terms of discipline, in terms of integrity, in terms of hard work. There were schools that make students to believe that the only way they can make success in life is through shortcuts. And by our own system of education, which we have been taught over the years, which we were brought up, and which we are now connecting with, our philosophy is that there is no student, no matter the circumstance surrounding that student, that cannot pass exams, that cannot do well. You only need to subject them to the right environment and make them see the bigger picture, which many people are not seeing. And you'll probably be able to make sure that they are doing well. So when you have such things, when you see many of such things around, and you see that many people are not doing these things well, you probably want to go there and make a difference. and make sure that you can put a difference in the way students are trained, the way students see life, the perspective that, hard work cannot yield the right result. We want to correct the narrative and make sure that you make students work hard and they give the right attitude to work, and you can see them becoming success. So that was the gap that was identified that actually made me passionate about the education industry.
But I'm curious, if on the day you left the oil industry, your salary had been doubled, would you still have left?
Well, for me, it's not about money, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, it's about passion. It's about impact. And for me, if anybody puts money before me, before he takes any, if he says I should take a decision based on money, I'll probably not even do it. Because what rules me is the impact that I want to make, is the value I want to put forward. So it's not really the money. I teach at the chemical engineering department at Bafemelo University. I'm one of the pro bono lecturers that we have there. I teach very effectively and efficiently, I think. And when I'm doing that pro bono, so I'm not even getting money for that. So it's not about money. It's about the value. It's about the impact. It's about what you actually want to put into those children, so that you can become.
That's the passion that conquers.
Yeah, exactly, sir.
So when did you know that education? Because from the way you have talked now, I could see that it's not about the money; it's about a calling. At what point did you realize that this is my calling?
Well, like I said before, sir, you see, sometimes it is difficult to divulge yourself away from what your parent does, and because when they start it with you, there is a way they also make you they also make you see that vision. And that was one thing that I saw. But for me, when I saw that, I could really put some students to pass mathematics, to pass chemistry, teach them with a whole lot of passion, and many of them do very well. And even their conventional teachers who were teaching them at that time may not have had as much impact as they have had. And I see students that will say, the few lessons I had with you for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I went to write my mathematics exam in GCE, and I had a C5, and I had a C4, and then I knew that, look, this is one way that God is pointing me towards, and I wasted no time in trying to make sure that we go that particular way.
I see. I hope people that are young teachers are listening to this, because when we started working, the impression then was that if you are a teacher, don't give them us because their salary was poor. But from what you have said, it's not just about money. Then you told me something that has refused to leave my mind, that your school started with just 5 students in the KG class for the first 4 to 5 months, an entire term. Can you take us back to that season? And how did you survive?
Wow, it's story now. It's past now, but I remember February 22nd, 2010, the school opened, the primary ham, the secondary ham. The primary, my sister was very interested in that because she loved small kids, so she has that vision. But for me, I was more of the college, and I wanted to actually follow my father's footsteps, like we did in Abeokuta. So we resumed, the KG had like 5 pupils. In the college, for almost 3 months, for a whole term, there was no student.
No student?
No student in the college. So you know what we did then? My mom was very supportive then. My dad was not really too into it because he was thinking that, what happens to the school in Abeokuta then? But I made him understand that, look, we're going to do everything together and everything's going to succeed. I remember my mom would tell me then, she would say, look, no teachers, no students. We had 7 teachers then, but... And
you kept paying those 7 teachers?
We kept paying them.
Wow.
There was no student.
Courage to conquer.
So what do we do? What we just do is we hold seminars within ourselves. Sometimes a teacher will come to the board, will teach the other teachers as if the other teachers were students. When it's time for assembly, we'll go for assembly. Some teachers will stay in the middle as students. Other teacher will conduct the assembly. Others will stay at the back. So we were we were running the school as if there were students there. But it was really challenging. Even me, as at that time, I mean, spent 4 months, 5 months without anything. But the template that I saw when I was a student in Tide Up, when I was a first student there, I was equally there for like 3 months, the only student.
So it was not new to you.
It wasn't new to me.
All right.
So I saw that,
Experience.
and I knew how the school moved from 1 student to 7 students, from 7 to 11, from 11 to 25, from 25 to 50, and a school that has well over 900 students now. That's Tide Up College in Abeokuta. So I saw that, and I knew that. Look, I knew the things that gave victory to that system, and I just followed that template perfectly. And I knew that even if there were challenges, it was just going to be a question of time.
Let me ask you this:
surmount it.
Were there days you quietly wondered whether you had made the biggest mistake of your life? Those challenging periods.
Well, I will not say that I made the biggest mistake, but I would say that one was just looking for the zeal and the passion to cope with that challenge. I knew I was not making a mistake, because I knew that even when my father started, when my mother, both of them started, they started in a 4-bedroom flat.
Okay.
4 flats of a building, and that was how they started. And then I worked particularly as a first. I remember there was a time as the only student, I fell sick, and there were teachers there, and all the teachers had to go on holidays. Nobody was doing any work again because there was no student to teach. So I knew that it was I just needed more encouragement to cope with those challenging periods. But I knew that, look, once Tide Up was able to push through this, definitely I will also push through. And I was following that template very clearly.
You had the lived experience to fall back on.
Exactly.
So let me ask, how did your family, especially your wife, react during those difficult days?
Well,
particularly madam.
Well, sometimes it's just good to get the right partner.
Good.
And things get more easier than you think. There are times when I wake up 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, you have financial obligations to meet up with, and you will not be able to sleep. There are times that you just had to look at things and said, how did we get to this level?
I was about to ask that 3-4 months with teachers to pay, nothing coming in. So how did you survive those?
No, but
you brought money from the oil industry.
No. But even if you had, then how much did you bring in? And we were starting. Yeah, fine. We had a little that we came back with, but when you started, you saw that, look, what we even had was not enough to take you halfway. And that was where the parental support came in. My mom was very supportive. My father too was supportive, but not as supportive as my mom, because he just wanted us to see that, look, there is a vision in Abeokuta which you still need to come and follow. And thank God today we're carrying on with the vision of both institutions, and we are doing well. So it's not easy at those periods, but when you have a wife who stays closely by you, who makes you feel like, yes, even though these challenges are more, and it gives you the right support, the right support, then in a short while you discover that all of those periods will fizzle away, and you just sit down and you just laugh over it.
So, madam, wherever you are at home, I hope you are hearing your husband. We are grateful to what you have done, your help. This is a good example of 2 shall put 10,000 to flight. So today, people see beautiful buildings and impressive facilities. They don't see the sacrifices behind them. What are some sacrifices of those days people never knew about?
Sometimes, and I can give 1 or 2.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll have made sure everybody had their obligations at the end of the month, And you probably just go home with nothing. Just go to your house, just go and sit down.
Absolutely nothing.
And you just go and sit down in your house, and you just be looking forward to the next thing that happens. I remember there was a time when I had to sell one of my cars, and I was roofing a particular building. When I was going to sell that car, my mom now told me, say, don't sell this car. Why would you want to sell this car? I said, I want to sell it. I said, I need money to roof this building. Okay, she said, no, you know what you do? I said, I will buy the car from you. So when you have enough money, then you can buy the car back from me.
Supportive parent. God
and
bless
make
mommy.
sure that so that the car does not go, because she didn't want the car to go.
Is mommy still alive?
Yeah, she's
God bless her. God bless her.
So the story ended this way. Eventually, I gave her the car. She gave me the money. 2 weeks later, I went back, picked the car. I said, I needed this car for something very urgent. I just picked the car again, and we used it for some periods, and eventually, I still sold the car. So I ended up making twice the amount because she gave me money. I will not return her. I still sold the car because I felt that I still needed more. These are some of the challenges that you have to go through, but many people don't see this. What they see is that beautiful structure, but they didn't get there like that. There's a lot that went into it. You have the sacrifice of making sure that you meet up with standards. You have the sacrifice of making sure you satisfy parents. You have the sacrifice of making sure that you don't compromise on the standard of the school in terms of hard work, in terms of integrity, in terms of making sure that the students get the right type of education that they want. Some parents will really not want to follow trend with you, but you have to also take your stand so that you will be able to build a system or a structure that you can call a system eventually.
Thank you, Dr. Jiboku. This is Oxygen FM 96.9, and our program is The Professional Edge, Education Unlocked. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, our listeners at home. I still have with me Engineer Dr. Idowu Jiboku, the Director, Lariken International College, Director, Tied Up College, Abeokuta, and the Chairman of Science Teacher Association of Nigeria, Oyo State Chapter. I didn't tell you this before. What even made me to come to your school to look for you? I went to one of the custodial centers to see a friend who was there. And I heard the invigilators talking. Don't take me to Lariken. Lariken doesn't settle. I've been in school system for the past 35 years, so I know what it means. When they say a principal or the owner of the school doesn't settle, it means it doesn't compromise. It will not join you in examination malpractices. That statement says a lot about your values. So my question is, why have you chosen integrity when many believe it comes at a cost?
Thank you very much, sir. Of course, integrity comes at a cost, especially when you are in an environment now where people now see what is wrong as a normal thing, and what is right, they now see it as a wrong thing. And one thing we'll never do in Lariken College is to engage in exemption malpractice. It will never happen. Because then what is a school then? A school is a school when you can make sure that you input the right values into students. Academic values, moral values, entrepreneurial values, and make sure that the student is coming out in a manner that they can face the challenges of life. So if I settle students, I'm even putting them on the wrong pedestal for the future. And that is what many school owners don't know when they involve in all of this. These students, God has handed you over to them to shape their life. And if you have just 50 of them, if you can put 50 of them very well, 50 of them will go into the future, will go into the society and make the right impact, even if the society is not expecting them to do so.
Thank you. So does it sometimes feel as though schools that insist on doing the right thing are competing at a disadvantage when you insist to do the right thing? I mean, it will look as if some schools that are not ethical are having undue advantage when they have seen questions. Doesn't it look to you like you are at a disadvantage?
Well, the end justifies the means. You think you've seen questions, you think you're having an upper edge. It's for a short time. It's transient. It's not going to last. For anybody, any school system who takes examination malpractice as key, they are part of the problem of this nation, the problem of this country, and they are contributing in their own little way to the corruption and the degradation of educational standards in this country. Let me say this, sir.
Yes.
I think I remember, if I want to be sure with my figures so that I don't mix up figures. I remember in 2024, I think WAEC released a pass rate of about 73% pass for 73% pass for students who wrote WAEC at that year, to include maths and English. That same year, the JAM, the UTME body, right? That same year, the UTME body said that they had about 24 or 25% pass rate in UTME. I mean, those that scored above 200 at UTME were just about 24 to 5%. So now, look at that statistics. WAEC says 73% scored 5 credit and above. JAM says 24% scored 200 and above. If you can score 5 credits and above in WAEC, then you should be able to score 200 and above in JAM. So you see that the two analyses seems to be what? To be different and to be opposite to each other. And we all know that what will make you gain admission to any university is JAM. Yes, WAEC is part of it, but go and have all the A's in WAEC. But the JAM will do the right thing to put you at your level. That's not to say that WAEC is not doing enough to make sure that they curb all these examination malpractices. That's not to say that NECO is not doing enough to curb all of these things. They are doing enough to curb all of these things. But in an environment where they move one step and the other people have moved 3 or 4 steps ahead of them, then you begin to look at what is happening. So for me, if you decide to do the right thing, you decide to take the right steps, you are not going to be at disadvantage. As a matter of fact, those who are cutting corners by making sure they cut corners in WAEC and other exams, they will meet their Waterloo when it comes to JAM and when it comes to post-JAM. Look at in 2025, sir. In 2025, you can imagine that the pass rate of 74% came down in 2024 to about 33% or 34% in 2025. And the pass rate for JAM in 2025 was about 21%. Now it's coming to agree. Like what happened in 2024 when they had 74% pass in WAEC and 24% pass in JAM. If there are no abnormalities during the exam, both examination bodies should record the same level of pass rate. If JAMB is saying we have 25% that goes above, that got 200 and above, then WAEC too should say, oh, we have about 27% that got maybe 5 credits and above. So for me, the schools doing the right things are not at disadvantaged, because the JAM, post-JAM, will always level up anybody who thinks he's smarter in WAEC or in any other exams.
Is that I've seen in my 35 years plus in this sector, I've seen parents coming to say in your school, don't you help your students, even as a teacher, even as a principal? So what advice do you have for parents who celebrate excellent results without asking how those results were obtained?
My simple advice for them is to know the type of school, do a proper investigation, and know the type of school you are taking your child to. The truth is that not many parents value all of these things that we call integrity and honesty. But for those that value it, and maybe they've gotten there maybe by mistake or thereabout, go ahead. Ask questions about the school that you want to take your child to. I believe every student can pass exam. They only need to be put in the right condition, subject them to the right environment, and let them know there's no shortcuts. And let them know that the only way they can pass is through hard work. Once they know that, everybody will address himself to serious hard work. But for parents who are like that, my advice would just be, look, you better look for the right system. When you look for the right system, the children will be built internally and they'll be able to face future challenges in life. But when you make sure that they are at the wrong pedestal, you are probably going to be building them for a transient period, and in the long term, they're going to be having issues coping academically.
I just wish that all school owners who are hearing us this afternoon will follow this example, choosing integrity over transient gains, over results that your children, your students cannot defend when they get to our institutions. Some of them will not even pass post-JAM.
Yes.
They will not even pass JAM.
Yes.
Not talk of post-JAM.
Yes.
And I've seen parents who would tell me when I was principal of Loyola College that at Loyola College they don't pass well. I said, when I'm here, they will pass well. But you must buy textbooks. Read, do this, do this. And to the glory of God, we had good results that we can show for it. The records are there for people to see. And when I was with you last week, you shared with me your concern that many parents have outsourced discipline to schools. And that's not even about your school, but based on your observation. Why does this worry you?
Well, many parents feel like I've paid school fees and that is the end. So once I've paid school fees, it becomes a problem of the school to ensure discipline on the part of the children. But even the school fees they have paid, and even when they have even done all of that, some of them don't even want to give the free hand to make sure that those children are even disciplined. And at the slightest complaint that the children brings home, they are in the school to come and do a lot of things that we will not even imagine. Now we see cases where parents come to school and come and accuse teachers. Some even slap teachers on the social media everywhere. That can never happen in Larrikin because we don't create an environment for such things to do. But what seems to be more important in all of this is that the discipline that has been outsourced, if the school is trying to carry it out, then give them a free hand to do it. And if the discipline has been outsourced, it should not be the only concern of the school to maintain this discipline. Parents should also create time to ensure that this discipline is melted out on either sides, and that is what is important to make sure that we form or we get a complete child.
Okay. My age, they call me, people like me, they call us digital immigrants. That's the name they gave us, digital immigrant. So I've met some parents and they complain that, Mr. Gade, don't you know it's difficult raising kids this digital age? My question to you this afternoon is this: what practical advice will you give to parents raising children in this digital age?
Well, the truth is we need it.
Okay.
We need this technology. We need this advancement in technology. We need it, and we just, if we really want to move forward from where we are to the next level, technology must be embraced totally on the part of the children, on the part of the parents. But there must be a caution. There must be a boundary. There must be places to draw the line. We should not leave those children totally to all of these technological or digital devices that is capable of making them derail from this academic structure. Now, I think I read somewhere that the UK has now banned social media and making sure that only students above the age of 16, any student below 16 should not have access to social media. They know what that means. I was in Cambridge last year for a conference, and one of the major concerns they had was how the IT, this digital age, is contributing to students' negative performance in classes. That's even there. It was a major subject of discussion, and I wish a lot of Nigerian schools, a lot of older schools see this, that even those who are the aims of affairs of this digital proclamation are even having concerns with their children about the usage on how they are handling it. But we in Nigeria want to introduce everything. I remember when I was in Dubai some time ago, there are sites you cannot access in Dubai. You cannot access some sites. I mean, talk about some social media sites, some adult sites. You cannot access them. But where we are, everything is accessible. Whether you are 10, you are 7, you are 5, you are 16, you are 20, you are accessible to all of these things. So these are some of the challenges that we have. And that's why I'm saying that we just need to be able to put control. Parental controls should be put. Some parents should try and make sure, even if you give your child some access to internet and some digital devices, control it. Link it to your own device. We need it. But we should, I mean, this is an era of online classes and all the rest, but we still need to be able to put control into it. Restrictions should be put there, else they will not be able to manage all of these things properly.
So what qualities have you observed that are now disappearing in today's children that previous generations took for granted?
You see, nowadays, you see this this Gen Z, call them now. Many of them are not patient. They want to get everything. They want to make their million now. They want to get their result now. That value of patience, that value of honesty, that value of integrity hard work is something that is totally missing in this children nowadays. Have you seen now that somebody was telling me that you have association of Yahoo mothers? This woman, those boys doing Yahoo now, their mothers, they have an association. What does that tell you, sir? The values are going. Now the mothers are the ones who will now be encouraging those ones to now go and do all of those things. What values are we preaching? So when you see a school system that now emphasizes and makes sure they take their stand on such structures, they now say, oh, what kind of system is this? Oh, this system is too tough. Oh, this system is too much. But it's our own duty to make sure that we say the truth and we'll put everybody in the right perspective, either parents, either students, or any other person.
Thank you, Dr. Jiboku. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we shall be looking at leadership and public policy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
We're still on the Professional Edge, Education Unlocked on Oxygen FM 96.9, reaching you from the knowledge of Okeado, Ibadan, where we inform, inspire, and ignite. I still have with me Dr. Idowu Jiboku, Director, Larike International College, also Director, Tied Up College, Abeokuta. And you are looking at leadership and public policy now. As chairman of STAN in Oyo State, what vision are you pursuing for science education?
Okay, thank you, sir. We have not started too much, but we hope to gain traction before the end of this month. And probably I'll just say one thing that really is on my mind that I would just love to do for this state when it comes to STAN is to just make sure that we propagate practical skills for science tutors. One of the things that probably is missing in our sciences, even in the university, is the acquisition of practical skills that enables science teachers to dissipate their knowledge very well. So I'm thinking that we could have a research center in Oyo State where we can have different level of researchers to come into that building, whether you are doing your first degree or you are a teacher of science or you are doing your master's or you are doing your PhD, or like to have a building, a research center that can be built and people can come in there, do their research, something like what we have in the university, like a central laboratory that we usually have in universities, but we now have it coordinated and manned by STAN, and we can also name it after anybody who is so generous to give the funds to make sure that that kind of structure is put in place. You can have, many people now, you want to even do your research in as a master's student or undergraduate, and you have so much challenges getting access to some of these basic equipment or facilities, GCMS or CMS, you don't have access to them. And, if you can have a building or you can have a research center which is put together by STAN, where different layers of researchers can have access to equipment, and we can have some kind of a building where they can also stay for 2 days, 3 days. They can stay, rent it 15,000 or some amount of money, and they can resume back to the lab and begin to do their work. That's the kind of thing I just think will be the hallmark of our achievement as a STAN chairman and the executives in the state.
So let me ask this: how can government better support private schools that are genuinely committed to quality education?
The greatest support that government can give is to encourage those private schools who are doing very well.
How?
And the best way to do this is recognize them. For schools who have produced very outstanding results, and you know that this result, they know them and they know how to get this information. When you begin to project schools or give award to schools or give recognition to schools who you know that do not deserve that recognition, they are not rewarding.
Maybe government's not aware.
Well, if they say they are not aware, good. But I know that there are there are compasses that government can put in place to make sure that they reward the genuine schools who are doing what is right. And probably one of the things that the association has always cried out for most of the time is the fact that there are multi-level layers of levies that the government is always charging private schools. And these private schools are the ones who are even doing the things that government in itself is doing.
What about tax incentives? Tax holiday, something like that?
Of course, these are things that they should also do so that you'll be able to give our best, create amenities that are very good, good roads, so that such schools can be more accessible. I mean, if you look at the road leading to some institutions are very terrible, and they are very bad. And it becomes the headache of the school owner to make sure that those roads are fixed. And you can also have a case where you can take up some of these students in the school who are attending there and sponsor their education in the school, and the schools can have these funds to also use and make it something that will be resourceful to them.
We have our lines opened now for anybody that may want to ask questions. I still have with me Dr. Idowu Jiboku, the Director, Lariken International College, Ibadan. 070-4700-3969, 070-4700-2969. And let me just ask you this. When people mention your name 20 years from now, what do you hope or what do you want them to remember about you?
Somebody who makes impact irrespective of money, just gives value. Somebody who has made impact in the education sector, somebody who has given so much value to the education sector and making sure.
Hello.
I can hear you. Tell us your name and where you are calling from.
My name is Dr. Kunle Sobeng. I'm speaking from Ibadan.
Okay.
Hello,
we are hearing you. You are live.
My name is Dr. Kunle Sobeng.
Right.
I'm speaking from Ibadan. I want to confirm that the word that seeth a man so diligent with his work, he shall stand before kings and not before mean men, is 100% applicable to the growth of tied-up schools and now Lariken. I know the story. I know the humble beginning of even tied up in Abeokuta. I don't know whether your guest will remember. Then Dr. Jiboku, now later on Professor Jiboku, he bought so many wonderful books, encyclopedia. I sold World Book Encyclopedia, Mass Power, Science Power to the school when the school was just starting. It was not easy for the school then, but because the man had the interest of the students at heart and he wanted to give the school that standard, he bought those special books from the World Book publication for the school. And I'm not surprised that Tied Up has grown in leaps and bounds. And the same, Lariken is also doing wonders in Ibadan. Please keep the flag flying.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Keep the flag flying. Dr. Jiboku.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate you, sir.
So, Dr. Jiboku, if one of your students became president of Nigeria, what values would you hope he or she learned within your school that you will not take to the outside world?
Integrity. Saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Integrity. That's just it.
So, what gives you hope about the future of education, despite all the challenges that you have seen?
People like us gives me hope. As many people, as many of us that we have, it still gives me hope that if we continue to make sure that we do not keep quiet, there's still hope in this country.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Good. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Dr. Aliyu Taiwo, immediate past chairman of STAN. I want to congratulate Engineer Dr. Jiboku for its outstanding presentation today. It has made us proud. And I want to quickly ask him, as the current chairman of STAN, what is STAN doing putting it together, representing Oyo State, what is STAN doing to participate at the incoming national conference that is coming up at Huyo, Akwa Ibom? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Taiwo. Yes, sir.
So we'll definitely participate, and we are doing everything possible. We are trying to make sure that we have a delegate from Oyo State who will be represented at that conference in Oyo. Definitely will be represented by the Oyo State delegates.
Finally, Dr. Jiboku, imagine a young science teacher listening to you this afternoon, discouraged, underpaid, and wondering whether to leave the profession. What do you say directly to that teacher in 30 seconds?
Don't give up. Continue. There is a reward, usually. Don't give up. Continue. There is a reward for everyone. It may be long, it may be short, but just keep doing what you are doing. Your values, your integrity, everything you hold will locate you, and you will soon be recognized as one of the best in your field.
Today, we have listened not just to an educator, but to a man who chose conviction over comfort, integrity over convenience, and legacy over quick success. Thank you, sir, for reminding us that while building may define a school appearance, character defines its impact. Thank you for being our guest on the Professional Edge today. And our listener out there,
thank you very
this
much.
conversation has not ended. We still continue on the Financial Intelligence Network, where you can contribute and where I will give you the lessons that we have learned from Dr. Idowu Jiboku, Director, Larike International College, Ibadan, Director, Taibo College, Abeokuta, and the Chairman, Science Teachers Association of Nigeria, Oyo State Chapter. Sir, we hope that when we call you next time, you'll still oblige us.
Definitely.
It's been a very interesting 1 hour. 1 hour, just like 30 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Thank you for having
More
me.
power to your elbow.
Amen, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Your station, your heartbeat. Oxygen FM 96.9 Ibadan.
Oxygen 96.9 FM rédíò tó milẹ̀ tìtìtì. Organic kan láwùjọ òkúta. Ilé rédíò tó ní ẹ̀mí titun. Ibẹ̀ láti sọ̀rọ̀ ìmọ̀ àti ìlera. Pẹ̀lú ìdàgbàsókè fún gbogbo ènìyàn má gbé kúrò. Kókà Oxygen 96.9 FM. Oxygen 96.9 FM. Wọ́n bẹ̀ ní ọkàn ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn sí gbogbo lẹ́kàrọ̀ òjíire. Oxygen 96.9 FM. Fún ìròyìn tó péye lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀, eré ìdárayá àtòrin lóríṣiríṣi. Oxygen 96.9 FM. Níbi tí ìmọ̀ tó ti ń di agbára. Oxygen 96.9 FM.
Feel the pulse, the energy flows.